Hello, today we're talking about things people with gastroparesis don't talk about. Just a trigger warning before this video starts. I realize this can be a really uncomfortable video if you have edemophobia, which is the fear of getting sick. Definitely don't watch this and choose to watch another one of my videos, or maybe just skip out on my videos because I talk about chronic illness a lot and I just want to warn you so I don't trigger you accidentally. Let's get into the video. As many of my subscribers know, I have many chronic illnesses, specifically gastroparesis, what we're talking about today. And it's one of the things I struggle most with, and there's very little treatment options available. I'm gonna talk about today the gross, yucky stuff people with gastroparesis go through that they don't talk about. I feel like we need to talk about these things so people feel less ashamed or less afraid to talk about it, because it's really hard to get a diagnosis or have people understand you if you don't talk about these things. So by doing this video, I want to help the stigma that surrounds gastrointestinal disorders, because of course people don't want to talk about pooping and throwing up. I mean, who does? But that's the only way you can receive the help and care you need. In case you don't know what gastroparesis is, here is a quick explanation of what it is. It's delayed gastric emptying, another name for it, where your stomach has food sit in it longer than it should, making you feel sick and nauseous and sometimes even throw up because the food sits in your stomach too long, making it rot inside you. Yeah, it's gross. It's usually caused because the pyloric sphincter is too tight. Mine is due to my underlying connective tissue disorder, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which affects every part of your body due to the connective tissues. The other most common reason for gastroparesis is people with diabetes having it due to nerve damage. So now that you know a little bit about gastroparesis, here's the things people don't talk about. Your breath, no matter how much you brush it, still somehow always smells. There is constant cavities, even no matter how much you brush your teeth. It's because of the acid that is constantly being burped back up from the food sitting so long, and then also you can smell the rotting food coming out of your mouth. Yeah, it's gross, and I used to feel really embarrassed about it. Well, sometimes I still feel embarrassed about it, I'm not gonna lie. But if you talk about these things with your dentist, they can give you prescription toothpaste to block the acid and save your teeth from the constant onslaught of cavities that is always plaguing people with gastroparesis. So again, really common, and it's so helpful to talk to a dentist about it, even though I find dentists to be the judgiest doctors. But if you just explain yourself, they will listen, because they too want the best for your teeth. The next thing that nobody talks about, and I really, really wish they did, is belching. There is so much freaking burping. It's insane. One year I burped for an entire year straight where I could not stop burping, and I was a junior in high school. So you can imagine how freaking embarrassing that was as a high schooler, a girl high schooler who could not stop burping. And I was like, what is wrong with me? I had just been diagnosed with gastroparesis as a 16-year-old, and I thought it was just causing me a lot of pain and throwing up. I did not know that it could cause all of this burping. And the burping is caused by the gas and the bubbles, which is gross, of the food going bad again in your stomach. It can ferment and it can be nasty. and that's what's causing you to burp, okay? And I just wish people would talk about that because I had no idea that was a symptom. So thank you, internet, for not telling me. We all know gastroparesis can be extremely painful. The indigestion, the cramping, the throat burns. But we don't talk about the after you vomit, which is gross. Yes, I'm sorry. The shakes and the muscle spasms, because you constantly will have electrolyte imbalances, which can be very dangerous. And when I'm in a flare, I get these really bad muscle spasms to the point I cannot walk in the back of my calves, and it's from the dehydration and the shakes. It is really bad, and you should go to the hospital when you get these muscle spasms, because it tends to mean that you are peeing out ketones. This is extremely dangerous, and it means that you have sugar in your pee and you're no longer digesting food. It means your stomach has given up on the food and is now digesting your fat. And as people with gastroparesis, we tend to already struggle maintaining our weight. So if it goes after our fat and muscles, we're screwed. So go to the hospital when you start to have these muscle spasms. I wish I had known these before, but it's super hard to tell the muscle spasms between my Ehlers-Danlos muscle spasms and muscle spasms from my body starving itself. So yeah. But I want people with gastroparesis to know to look out for these muscle spasms, because that's how I know when my body is like at its limit and needs to get IV fluids. And we need to talk about this more as people with this condition, because we lose people with gastroparesis all the time to things like sepsis and malnutrition. And just because things are uncomfortable to talk about doesn't mean we shouldn't talk about them, because talking about uncomfortable things can save someone's lives. Not to get all deep here, but it's the truth. Another thing we don't talk about is the disordered eating aspect of it, which I know we hate to talk about mental health, because doctors and especially gastroenterologists love to blame our health issues on mental health, even though there is testing to back up that we are actually sick. But when you're chronically ill, the thoughts that are like, if I don't eat anything, the pain won't happen because there's no food for me to throw up. But you can't think like that, because you will get sicker. However, it's completely normal and valid to feel these thoughts. It's just helpful to talk about them with someone. It doesn't even have to be a therapist or a doctor. You can talk to a family member about it. As long as you're getting these feelings out instead of actually doing them, it's really healthy. Another thing we don't talk about is sleep schedules. They are all over the place. But not only that, is the sleeping positions. Girl, if anyone saw the way I slept, they'd be losing their mind. Because a lot of the time, gastroparesis is worse at night due to all the food you ate in one day is piling up, and you do that digesting at night, and so you're at your worst, you're at your most nauseous because it's the most amount of food you have in your stomach. So you're just laying there, eyes open, like, oh my god, I'm gonna vomit in my sleep. So you sit up to sleep. That's pretty normal. That's why hospital beds have that reclining stuff, because when you're sick, you can asphyxiate. And when people are hospitalized, they're usually sick. Except people with gastroparesis, we feel like that all the time, and hospital beds are expensive. So it is completely normal to have a weird sleeping setup when you have gastroparesis. Like, the amount of Squishmallows I have, I'm basically sitting up in a chair throne of Squishmallows to go to sleep. And that's perfectly normal. Of course, not everybody's using Squishmallows, because they're adults with gastroparesis. I'm an adult with gastroparesis, but I have the hobbies of a 5-year-old, and I love collecting Squishmallows, okay? So, how I sleep is in a throne of Squishmallows, so I don't asphyxiate while I'm sleeping. Yeah. Another thing people with gastroparesis don't talk about is the constant lip peeling and mouth ulcers. Now, mouth ulcers are usually contributed to autoimmune disorders, but with gastroparesis, if you're the majority who are throwing up all the time due to the rotting food in your stomach, you throw up a lot, and throw up is very dangerous because it's so acidic. So you have these constant mouth burns inside your mouth and on your lips, and it looks like you have a disease some of the time, okay? And again, it's really embarrassing to talk about, but again, it's so helpful to talk about, because if you go to a dermatologist for your skin, or you talk about it with your gastroenterologist, they can give you this powerful version of Vaseline so you can have the barrier you need to protect it from the acid. So if you're already feeling nauseous, you can put this like Vaseline type of substance on, and if you do happen to throw up, your lips and skin are protected so you're not causing permanent damage. Again, another reason why it's so important to talk about these things so others can get the help they need. For last, I saved the most uncomfortable thing to talk about. And it's not because it's gross, it's just like emotionally tough to handle this, because you think treatment is gonna make everything better, but it really doesn't. There's no cure for gastroparesis, and nobody talks about how painful the treatment is. Yes, you aren't throwing up anymore, or you are throwing up a little bit less at least. However, your stomach is a muscle, and if you don't use a muscle, you lose it and it atrophies. So when your stomach starts working again by means of a medication, it's painful because you aren't used to using that muscle. It's like doing a workout without a warm-up after months. Each grumble of digestion sending a shock wave of pain. The noise itself is even a weird sensation, when you didn't even know your stomach was supposed to make noise. I learned that they were supposed to make noise after my doctor listened to my stomach with a stethoscope and was literally concerned that my stomach had no activity and you couldn't hear any noise. And that was after I was getting treatment, so treatment could just not work at all. And I didn't see that talked about, and the lack of treatment there is. There's like 3 medications you can take and 2 surgeries you can do. I still struggle with the pain a lot, and the medication doesn't really work that well for me. I only have experience with the medication and Botox, and that is really painful for me, because I can feel the movement of my stomach and the contractions, and I'm not used to that. I can feel like the tearing of the muscles, and most people don't talk about the pain, but I think we should, just so other people with gastroparesis don't feel like they're crazy. But I understand why we don't talk about the pain, because it's our only option is that medication, and if it brings us pain, so be it. At least we're not throwing up a lot. However, you can still have the stomach pain and still be throwing up a lot, so yeah. I can't say much about the surgeries because I've never had one for gastroparesis, though I am getting one this March. So I will do an update video of if that affects me. But yeah, that was the most painful bit to talk about, but I want you all to know you're not alone. And there's a lot of people who have gastroparesis, including me. And pain is probably the most common part of it, and you're not crazy for feeling the pain. Thank you for watching the video this far. I hope you learned about gastroparesis, or learned something about yourself, or learned something about your friends with gastroparesis or family members, and can hopefully sympathize with them more without pitying them, because we hate the pity, it's so annoying. But most importantly, everyone, stay weird and stay yourself. Bye!